All right, welcome back after the coffee break. I hope you enjoyed it. Now that the coffee break is over, we already come to the last presentation for today for the NGI attack track. Please give a warm applause to Christopher, who will tell us something about the insecurity of smartwatches. Welcome.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time, troopers. Thanks for the invitation and thank you for doing this great event. I know it's a lot of work. Today I'm talking about a story which started in November 2017. It's not old, it's still there, it's still vulnerable, and the whole story evolved over the time. First of all, you can ping me at Twitter. I don't have any introduction slide about myself or agenda. If you want to know something about it or talk to me, I'm here until Thursday or Friday. And yeah. So most important, not for me, but for a lot of people, all content shown here is based on my private work, in my private time, nothing related to my employer. Who of you cannot understand German? Okay, 3 to 4 guys, because now it's a short introduction video. That's the reason why I got interested in it. After the video, it's 1 minute, 30 seconds. I will give a short summary about what's in there.
Sie sollen Schutz bieten für die Kleinen, Armbanduhren mit Kontrollfunktionen.
Das ist auch meine Lieblingsuhr.
Doch jetzt gibt es Aufruhr.
Da ist man dann eigentlich schon ziemlich sauer.
Denn am vergangenen Freitag vermeldet die Bundesnetzagentur, Kinderuhren mit einer Abhörfunktion müssen sogar vernichtet werden. Viele Kinder-Smartwatches haben eine solche Abhörfunktion, weiß IT-Experte Tobias Schrödel.
Alltagsgegenstände, die eine geheime, nicht sichtbare Abhörfunktion haben, waren eigentlich schon seit Jahren verboten. Nichtsdestotrotz hat die Bundesnetzagentur jetzt nochmal nachgeschaut, ist fündig geworden und hat deswegen explizit darauf hingewiesen, dass zum Beispiel diese Kinderuhren verboten sind und auch zerstört werden müssen.
Von dem Verbot betroffen sind einige sogenannte Smartwatches für Kids. Die Smartwatch für Kinder ist eine elektronische Armbanduhr. Sie hat häufig eine SIM-Karte integriert und funktioniert ähnlich wie ein Handy. Mit dieser Uhr kann das Kind zum Beispiel mit seinen Eltern telefonieren. Außerdem können die ihren Sprössling mit der passenden App orten. Eine Technik für besorgte Eltern. Und die ist auf dem Prüfstand. 2 Tage nach der Mitteilung der Bundesnetzagentur finden wir auf seriösen Internetportalen immer noch smarte Uhren mit Abhörfunktion. Wir kaufen fleißig ein. Darunter auch die Uhr Kleiner Affe der Firma Vidimensio. Der 6-jährige Colin trägt diese Armbanduhr seit rund 3 Monaten.
Okay, that's sufficient. So for the English-speaking people only, it was a video aired on RTL, Stun TV from the 22nd of November 2017. The date is wrong, sorry, it was 2017. And it all happened after our Federal Network Agency, the Bundesnetzagentur, released a paper which inside they stated to ban smartwatches for children, especially for children, which have a hidden wiretap function. It's nothing new. It wasn't legal before. It was every time illegal in Germany, since I know. But as a lot of vendors on Amazon and other marketplaces sold this and made this hidden feature, the wiretap function, as a feature, the Bundesnetzagentur said, hey, they watches must be destroyed. And if you bought them, there's only one choice: take a hammer, destroy it, and then it's fine. So this was for me the time when I thought, maybe it's interesting, because the day after I went to Amazon and looked for one of the watches from the vendor. The vendor has several watches, but for me in the first place, they all seemed based on the feature set the same, only look different, because here you see it's a nice pink one for little child. Here you have another one, maybe not so for child, maybe for seniors. And that was the reason I bought this Paladin model. And what's here highlighted, it's ohne Abhörfunktion, without wiretap. Afterwards, I got it, this is the package. And now when you think of we have a piece of hardware. The network agency released a ban for smartwatches on the 17th of November. That short TV article was on the 22nd. And on the 23rd, I went to Amazon and wanted to buy it, and there was no wiretap inside. I'm doing security almost since a decade, and always when hardware, especially hardware, is involved, this timeline can no one fulfill. Maybe you can fulfill it if you are the owner of the hardware, of the software, no third-party vendors, then maybe. But for me, to be honest, this is gonna be happened. I'm quite sure there is something inside. So, looking again at my package, in the upper part you see D100 GPS smartwatch. There was a label on it from the vendor. I removed it. What do you do when you get such a package and think, I went out to Google. D100 smartwatch. You saw at Amazon from the vendor, I purchased it for 150 euros. At China, at AliExpress, you can get it for 40 bucks. So the question, is the vendor the owner of this piece of hardware? I don't think so, but maybe. Why would someone buy such a device for 150 euros when you can get it for 40? I call this slide unique selling points, because when you buy something from China, you wouldn't think of you get a device that is secure at all. You buy it from China, it's cheap, it's fucked up. So you go to a German, or in this case an Austrian vendor, you have email, telephone support from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. You have a German server. German servers are always secure. They make use of SSL. Remember, SSL. We will come to this in a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's waterproof, so maybe someone thinks, yeah, it looks so nice, I'm gonna pay more than 3 times of this, what the piece of hardware costs in China, and give it to that vendor. By the way, it's not only for children, because I just showed you this one, it's more for seniors from optical perspective. When we look at the big picture of the architecture, on the left side we have a mobile app. The mobile app is normally used by the parents to control the watch, to look after the children. Where is it currently? This is on the left side. The app communicates with the back end. It's a normal web service API which the app connects to HTTPS or HTTP. For us security researchers, it's wonderful because we can use our common tools, interception proxies, to get in a connection and see how it looks like. On the right side is a connection between the watch and also the backend. You see here it's GSM 2G. The watch only has a 2G modem. So at latest, when our German network operators think that 2G should be disabled completely, you can throw that watch away. It won't work any. And on the bottom side, there's also a way to send SMS messages to the watch for some configuration and common purposes. We will see that later. So for example, a simple workflow, a parent wants to know where is my kid, it goes to the app, clicks on the find command, it routes through the backend, command find is executed, the watch picks up its current GPS coordinates, sends it to the backend, and from the backend it's relayed to the app. Nothing special. When you look at it, so the app looks this, it's a nice app. To be honest, when I opened it first time, I thought it much more horrible, but from a user perspective, if I'm the parent, I would say, yeah, it works, it's okay. In the meantime, because we also have a live demo, I will just start an Android emulator, start that app. Does it start? Why it's not starting? It's not weird. It's only, yeah, it's not getting. updated on the second screen. But you see here, I'm now connected to one of my accounts. I have 3 watches here. One is online, 2 others are offline. The offline watch is this one. I'm connected. You see watches offline. And if we look at the current last location, I must actually update it here. Come on. It's my last home location. It was, I think, yesterday evening. I put the watch on. It gets the current GPS location, sends it to the backend, and then I put the watch offline again. We will use that emulator for a demo later on. So, for my research, I started to look at the communication between the app and the backend because it's super easy. And afterwards, which was done now some days, some weeks ago, the right part, which I looked at the communication between the watch and the backend itself. When I started, I had several questions. What about the wiretap? Is it still in? I assume not, but I must prove it. Are there any other obvious vulnerabilities? I'm a pen tester by day, so I look at the web service and look if there are some vulnerabilities inside. And then also security bad practice violation. For example, does the app use SSL or is it anyway encrypted? Based on the slides of the vendor, yes, but prove it or you won't know it. So, this was, I think, in 27th of December 2017. Christmas was over, I got the watch, and this was the time I thought, yeah, now I'm gonna check it up. I have some time, wife wasn't there, this is my setup. I thought I would have some nice hours, but to be honest, 15 minutes later, and it's not because I'm such a ridiculous hacker. It's based on what you will see now. So what you see here is the first request that is sent from the app to the backend. Remember the slides, SSL. To be honest, I don't see SSL. I see plain text HTTP. It's bad, it's not worth, but when you think about a mobile app, where it's used in maybe insecure Wi-Fi networks, maybe over insecure mobile network channels. So in 2017, this was still 2017, Let's Encrypt was already out there, and I think there's no argument for not protecting web service by a proper TLS certificate. Then the second was, it looks for me like an access key or token. Where does it come from? How is access to other watches protected? Because this is the first request. No other request from the app has been done to the backend, so that key must come from somewhere. You see also username is a numerical value. This is printed, for example, on the box you get from the vendor. And the password is the standard password. When you get this watch, you cannot create an account, you have an account. And the password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But to be honest, you must change it on the first log or within the first login. So this was the first request. Let's look at the second request. We are now authenticated. I logged in with credentials. And when I look now, this is the get tracking request, which should give me the current location of the watch. I would think of there must be any header where some kind of token is inside, which authenticates me as my account. But if you look at the headers, there is nothing special inside. There's again that key where I currently don't know where it comes from. You see now we don't have that long account string, that numerical. Now we have a short device ID. Device ID is numerical value starting from 0 going to currently 9999. Maybe you could think of what could probably happen. When looking at the response, it was a GET tracking request. You get, in fact, the current location of the watch. Anyone sees the problem already? At that time, I did nothing malicious. I have not hit any laws or something else, but I was sure that thing is broken. Regarding the key, it's an Android app. Use APK tool, decompile it. You have the key from your interception proxy. Then grab for it. It should be somewhere inside. Maybe it's calculated, but in the present case, you can directly find it. There's a class web service. To be honest, I'm not a fan of Smalley because I'm lazy, so I decompiled it with JDGUI to Java, and you see there's a private string key. It's a static string, static key inside the app binary, which is common for all users. So at that point, I was sure I control every watch. Here's another request, get device history, because you are not only able to get the current position, you can get a complete tracking history, so like a trip. If you do it, open the app, go to history tracking, then selecting a date range, and afterwards. So what I just mentioned, the app is nice. It works. It's nothing which someone coded and you think from a user perspective, no one want to use it. No, you can use it. It's completely fine. Now when you hit search, it starts with, I think it was some of my travels to work. Nothing special. I have not hit the backend and catched any other watches so far, but I was sure it's broken. Let's get to this later on. My second question was regarding the wiretap function. Is it really gone? Is it gone from the backend? Is it gone from the watch? Or has only the Amazon title to keine Abhörfunktion changed? When looking again at this picture, there are mainly two different actions regarding the backend you can trigger from the app. You can ask the backend, for example, for that kind of trip data, which is saved on the backend. When you ask the backend for this, the backend don't communicate with the watch. But there are special commands which are routed through the backend to the watch. For example, one command is find. When you can activate it on the app, then the current position is sent to the backend to be sure it's the current one. Normally, you have a temporal resolution between 15 seconds and several minutes, which you can, as the owner of the watch, configure in the app. So, but if you want to get, I want the position now, then send the find command. And what the find command also does, the app begins to ring. Because, for example, children often lose some kind of stuff. So as a parent, you want to know where is the watch in my house, execute the find command and it will ring. And I was thinking of, okay, there are methods which get routed directly to the app, to the watch. I know there's find and I know there's power off, because when the app is connected to the backend, the user cannot power off the watch. Because as parent, you maybe don't want that your child, oh, I'm now, put it off and no one can see where I am. These are the two commands I was aware of. This is the request. There's an endpoint send command by app, and the command type was here find. Now, as an elite hacker, you go to Google, enter send command by app, because at that time I was quite sure that the backend was not implemented by the vendor itself. And what I found on the internet, publicly reachable, a web service description language, especially for that web service. At that time I was not sure who was the creator of the web service, who was the company behind it. But for me, this doesn't matter. At that moment, I only want to find is there any command which maybe could activate that wiretap function. And nobody would wonder. Obviously, it could also be found out by somehow a dictionary brute force attack. The command is called monitor. You only have command type monitor, then you have a parameter. This is the number which get called. Send that request, and the wiretap is enabled. By the way. Here, I give this watch, give it to the Rose. Please don't dial any premium rate numbers with it. It's only a prepaid SIM card in with a low amount of money. So summarizing the vulnerabilities, we have an unencrypted communication between the app and the backend API, no HTTPS. The wiretap function can still be used. And the worst thing, missing authorization of backend API. So what does this mean? I could control every watch and I could activate the wiretap function on every watch. This was, I think, the 28th of December. I'm a really big fan of responsible disclosure. I don't want to vary any vendor, but you will see why I'm now a little bit angry about it. So I put together this report for free. I haven't sent it directly to the vendor. I used HiZDE, the German IT Verlag, which does IT news and magazines. Why I do this? Because in the past, I had sometimes troubles that when I reported some vulnerabilities, the vendors got so angry, and I was sent some law documents and had to go to a lawyer. And I do this for free in my spare time. I don't want to spend money to say, hey, I'm a good boy. I'm not the bad one who you must hit on. So, responsible disclosure. This was sent out, and the vendor told me, you are completely wrong. We don't trust you. We don't understand the report. This is the first time I got illegal, because this is a proof I had access to all watches. I haven't activated the wiretap on it. I only wanted to fetch all GPS locations. And this was for me the proof, guys, you got a really problem. After that, the vendor also created some watches in his backend for me, and did some callbook entries, and then wrote me an email, tell me which callbook entries are for that specific watch, because he was still thinking it's not true. Then the funny part began. Yeah. So, we had a lot of conversation. I don't only send a report out and then I say, hey, I get no money from you, I don't help you. No, I help you. Here's a question from the vendor. It's about the broken authorization and also authentication. He asked me, would it grant security with my app if the unencrypted connection would remain? Oh no, about the TLS. If the unencrypted connection would remain, but the app with each comment would always send the password. Yeah, we are all security people here. I don't need to say anything about this. Of course not. Then I told him, I think it is also about SSL, because the discussion goes further and further, and he asked me, but I don't understand it. Who would attack my users? Then I told him, hey, if you are, for example, in public Wi-Fi's or anything else, everyone could hijack your connection. Yeah, actually, I don't understand it. It was quite hard. The disclosure timeline was, here you see, report was finalized, shared with the vendor, then more than 20 emails between he and me, and I gave him a 90-day disclosure policy deadline because I'm not a fan of giving 1 year because nothing happens, everyone is still attackable, so 90 days, and then we released it to the public. It was on Heise, it was on some Austrian website, Spiegel, and so on. At the time, this was the 29 March of 2018, and there was no SSL, no authorization, and I think the day before he removed that command type monitor from the backend. So through the backend, I was not able to activate the wiretap function anymore. But it went public, everyone could read it, and it still worked. But at the same time, at the 29th, at the evening, there was SSL in place, and he changed the static key to another one, so that all demo requests which were out in the internet would not work. Then I stopped my investigation because I thought, yeah, someone other should look at it. I will look at it later on. Then somewhere between March and May, I went to his page and there I read this. The interesting part is highlighted. The Federal Network Agency has tested our Vidimensio watch and confirmed in writing that it has no wiretap function. At that time, I was thinking, I think it's a lie. I don't think that the Federal Network Agency had tested anything from you. Because I still had all these watches. But at that time, I tried to get someone at the Federal Network Agency, but it's a German agency and it's really hard to get anything from them. In the meantime, I thought, when I'm a bad guy, how could I make money with this kind of vulnerabilities? The first thing, it sounds really worse, but it's the truth. There are so weird people out there. I'm quite sure when I go to the darknet, look for some pedo forums or don't know how the English term is. I'm quite sure there are people which throw a lot of money on me to get GPS coordinations of really, really little children where they can pick them up. Another way is regarding the wiretap function. I could not trigger it from the back end, but you will see there's another way maybe how I could trigger it. I thought, can I make money when that watches call me? And indeed, there are premium rate numbers. So since I think March 2018, I'm the proud owner of that premium rate number. You can call me. I think currently I get 10 euros per call. I have not hit anyone of an owner of that watches with this, but I think it's, for research purposes, it's nice to have such a number. This was also somewhere in the middle of 2018. I wanted to make the world a better place. So what I did, I already mentioned that power off function. This was still working, not like the monitor function. So I ran a script on one of my servers every couple of minutes to shut down every watch. And I think this was the time the vendor also realized he should implement a proper authentication scheme, that I cannot control all other watches. So this was 2018. He removed the wiretap monitor command from the backend, implemented SSL TLS, and added a session management. I don't call it proper session management. It's a session management. So, And as I got here approved for troopers, I thought that could not be all. I must look at something new. So goodbye 2018, 2019. Before going on, I also want to mention some related works, because in recent time there was a lot of other research by other companies, especially Pentness Partners, looked at 2 different vendors of such smartwatches, especially for children. No surprise, same crap. Then the European Council have a RAPAC system. It's the Rapid Alert System for Non-Food Products. It's a warning system for consumers. And in the first week of February 2019, they released an issue about, again, it's a German vendor called Enux, I think. Some guys from Iceland, because it was issued in Iceland, that report, found out that when reading the short lines, it's exactly the same. So you see, what I just found out by one vendor is obviously the same for several others. In the upper right corner, there's Trackmageddon. It was also a nice research done by some German guys. It was released all at the same time of my research in March 2018, but at that time there was also Spectre and Meltdown and a lot of news, so I haven't got it. I read it later. The guys looked especially at the backend APIs of a lot of tracking services, and by looking at their advisory, I just also found out they also have looked at that open API. But they could not trigger any functions or methods because they had no watches. They only figured out there are a lot of indirect object reference vulnerabilities in a lot of different tracking services. So, back to this. I was still not sure if the Federal Network Agency have looked at these devices. So, but in Germany, we have, I don't know when it started, we have an Informationsfreiheitsgesetz. This gives you the ability to go to German federal agencies and ask them for information. You can go to fragdenstaat.de. There you only have to put in, I want to ask the Bundesnetzagentur, have you really looked at this kind of VDMensio products? And if yes, what have you found out? Can I get test protocols? I sent this out on sometime in January 2019. And to be honest, I haven't thought that I get any information back. But let's wait. In the meantime, I had a watch. The wiretap function was inside. It was disabled, but the watch still is completely illegal. I thought, I want to be a legal watch. What could I do? I need a firmware upgrade. There's no remote firmware function. The vendor has not notified any who bought this. For example, I directly bought it from him. I have a receipt from him, so not through any third party. So if he wanted, he could reach me. He hasn't. So 2 ways, destroy or upgrade. As there's no remote functionality, I asked him, to be honest, not with my real name, because at that time he didn't want to discuss with me anymore. I asked him, can I please get an update? Then he answered me, yeah, you have to pay 40 euros. And this is a fucking rip-off. You buy a product that is illegal, you want to make it legal, and the vendor tells you, yeah, give me money. This is not fair. What I did, I bought a second watch, this one. I bought it. It should have the new firmware in it, because I bought it in 2019. When looking at the firmware image with binwalk, only by looking at the strings, copyright 2003. I don't think I must say anything. When crapping through the extracted parts of the firmware for monitor, you directly see that monitor functions are still inside, and I tested it, it still works. So this is the first time I call for product liability. It's not only for that shitty smartwatches, it's for all IoT products. It's unbelievable what you get from the vendors. You get shit and no one helps you. You pay money and you get nothing. From a security perspective, it's a horror story. Then regarding my IFG-Antrag, my question to the Bundesnetzagentur, I really got the documents and they really checked watches. You see a lot of is blanked here. They are allowed to blank it because they tell me if we don't blank it, it's a issue for all other people because this is a manual how to hack the device. You want to know what they hacked because I already told you the backend, the wiretap function is disabled in the backend, but there's still this way through SMS. What they blanked out is especially that if you send this SMS, you must have the number, but I think it's not so horrible. If you send this SMS to any watch, it calls you back. Who has the watch? Guckst du dir mal an? I started right now. And the interesting thing is on the wiretap function also, you don't see anything on the display. This may take a couple of seconds. Monitor okay. Do you see anything? No? So remember, they checked 3 models. To be honest, I have a Paladin. They haven't checked mine. In the first slide, I said when I bought the watch, I thought they are all the same. But what I just found out, it's from the vendor, about 20 models. You can see that on the third column, there's which app is used. There you also see it's not only Video Menu app, he also makes use of some third-party apps. So at the current time, I know the Bundesnetzagentur, the Federal Network Agency, checked 3 watches, and they say there's no wiretap function inside. Since last week, I have one of these. I have not looked at it, but I have another thing to present here. Is all okay now is the question. I can answer you no, because Bundesnetzagentur has checked 3 models. They say it's not possible by the app and also by SMS. So maybe these 3 models are safe. I don't know. I will have a look at. What me interested now for Trooper especially, how does the API enforce authorization and authentication in 2019? He implemented a session management. Maybe it's good. So what now happens, the static string is still inside the app and it's used for the first request when you authenticate to the backend API. So I don't know why he used this. Maybe it's some kind of security by obscurity. Without that static key, even you cannot authenticate if you have a username and password. Oh shit. What you see at the right bottom, after that request, in the response, now you get a key. It's called key 2018. Yeah? And I thought, okay, let's look at these keys. So first of all, I'm not a mathematician and I'm not a crypto analysis god, but when I look at this, the starting point, I got these tokens at completely different times. I thought, I'm not sure, but it smells a little bit fishy. Now, when you look at this one, I put up a burp intruder, a burp sequencer to get different session IDs. Now look at the response time. When the response time is the same minute, you get the same token back if the minute changes. So you could think of maybe the time is a big random part which goes into that kind of token. This is still vulnerable. I don't disclose the technical details of it, but I can say it's broken. If you look here at the burp sequencer, the overall quality of randomness within the samples is estimated to be extremely poor. At a significant level of 1%, the amount of entropy is estimated to be 0 bits. Yeah. It sounds worse than the token really is, but yeah. So just by today, do you think after that bad press, people stop buying the products? No. Because at the time, in late 2017, early 2018, I think there were about 700 to 800 watches online. Now this is the map from the 12th March this year, so 6 days ago. I only counted watches which have been online 2019. So if someone had a watch and throw it away, it was not online this year. So I think all watches which have been online this year are still in use. At that day, we had almost 3,000 watches. And think not only Germany, you can see where the people are on holiday, I think. So I said I won't disclose the technical details, but I must disclose one thing. There's also a web interface which you can use to interact. So instead of the mobile app. You see on the red highlighted areas, I'm logged in with one account, and down below, I want to execute a command on another watch. If I want to do this, it's maybe an intended feature, I have to enter a password. So I have to enter the password, and this is not the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because normally a user has to change it, and you cannot change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even when you change it to something else, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is banned. So everyone should have a unique password. So when I do this, I enter some gibberish. It tells me password is incorrect. I check the request that is made when I hit the button, and I put in valid credentials. So my device ID and my pass, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is valid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is not valid. The web service answers with D1. I thought, that's a weird answer to assure that this login request or validate password request is correct or not correct. When you look at the code that gets executed when you click the OK button, you see here down below on click send CMD info is executed. So a JavaScript function is executed. When you look at the JavaScript function, it does the request to validate password, then something comes back, and obviously if the response is D equals 1, then you have entered the correct password. If D equals something else, if it's false, the web service answers with D equals 0, nothing happens. So client-side security in 2019 is also bad. So easy match and replace rule for burp. Hacking in 2019, replace D0 with D1. You can enter any password for any watch and can control it. So now the last part, can I trust what I see? When I'm as a parent go in the app and see that my child is at GPS coordinate XYZ. Is this authentic? I can tell you I looked at the protocol between the watch and the backend. It uses 2G. It's maybe not so complicated to intercept that connection. That connection is completely not authenticated and not encrypted. So this is the right part. Until now we talked about the left part, now the right part. When you intercept the connection, you see this. So to be honest, I don't understand and I haven't reverse engineered the protocol because I'm not interested. But when looking at it, I understand so much that I can manipulate and hijack any other watch. Because, for example, this is exactly my login ID. What could possibly happen when I change that with another ID? And that's exactly demo time. Part 2, where is it? So this is still the app which is logged in for this watch with this offline. What I now do, connection live. This watch we must wait some seconds until okay, give it some seconds and we come back to this when the socket. So another call for product liability. I want to mention it more than one time. There must change, and not only in Germany, in whole Europe, in the whole world. When you buy crappy products, someone must be liable for it. So current status, an attacker can control all watches. Hundreds or even thousands of watches with a wiretap function are still in use. I don't know if only these 3 models are fixed. Maybe they are not fixed. I will have a look at it in the upcoming time. And without proper product liability, nothing will change. Now, try it again. What the fuck? No, it's not running. Yeah, I know. But address if you... Yeah. There is no 7755, or is it? No, it's not. Now, perfect. Yeah, Netstart. Now it's working. Get back to this one. I think I have to move it back to my screen because it doesn't get updated. I don't know why on the second screen. So important is also the watch only sends his new GPS locations if someone is walking around with it, because when it's, yeah, because for battery safety measures, it's not sending out locations when it's not moved. Komm, lauf mal raus, komm, hopp. as soon as the ID is overwritten, we should see also something here. So, but I think this was also. Nö, ich glaube nicht, aber ist egal. Können wir nachher noch. Yeah, that was it. Thank you so much.